Ted Yantis says, what are your thoughts on the sun cycles and activity being the major contributor of climate change and how this makes man-made pollution a very, very small part of it? My feelings on this are it's almost certainly true. The correlation to solar activity is a much better correlation than the correlation to carbon levels. And there are other variables that we don't know about. And now we're back to what I was talking about just a minute ago about this arrogance of assuming that we know things. Look, we have to assume that we know things. This is called heuristics. The HAL computer and the that my buddy Dave Bowman here is looking at right now, the HAL 9000 is heuristically programmed analog computer, I think it was. Heuristics are lessons. They're little building blocks of information and wisdom almost. A heuristic might be if something's glowing red, don't touch it. Because if you touch a red-hot stove or a red-hot iron or something, you only have to do that once. You don't have to relearn that glowing red is hot every time. That's a heuristic. You can build upon that. If you don't have heuristics, you can't do anything. There's no language, there's no thought, there's no nothing. But on some level, we should be challenging some of these heuristics. And this idea that carbon is driving climate change is a heuristic that has been gobbled up by people who call themselves scientists. And when they find the data doesn't match their computer models, instead of changing the computer models, they change the data. They have a map about the coastline. They're sailing at sea. They got a chart, and their chart says, well, there should be a river delta here. They go outside and they look. There's no river delta. There's a rocky coast. They look at the map. They look at the coastline, and they think the coastline is wrong. That's the arrogance of modern so-called scientists. This is why I'm so down on this issue. It doesn't match, doesn't work. And if you have to fake the data, what does that tell you? I've got a new firewall coming out about this idea politically. If you have to fake evidence that there's gang rapes on college campuses, if you have to fake evidence that Sarah Silverman gets paid less than a male comedian, if you have to fake evidence about the Tea Party being racist by making racist billboards and sending them to Tea Party events, then the fact that you have to construct evidence is in fact evidence that you don't have any evidence, right? So there you go. Yeah, I think it's definitely closely related to the sun, because these carbon things in the atmosphere, all of these carbon models are not based on the carbon. They're even the people backing man-made global warming aren't saying that it's the carbon dioxide that's causing the warming. They're saying the increase of carbon dioxide is affecting the water vapor. Water vapor does the heavy lifting. So little forcing is little changes of one thing move a bigger variable, and that makes the big change. So we have a trim tab flies the control surface that actually flies the airplane. Little load controls the device that puts the big load on. But it doesn't match, and it doesn't work. And for people to just blindly assert that it isn't science anymore. Heuristically programmed algorithmic computer, thank you. Binary, it wasn't analog. I thought that sounded wrong. Algorithmic computer, thank you. Algorithmic computers named after Al Gore. Okay, so moving on here. Patrick Dillon says, what do you make of the oscillating universe theory? Could the universe stop expanding at some time and start collapsing, a.k.a. the Big Crunch, and then trigger a new Big Bang? Can this cycle go on indefinitely? Infinitely, sorry. So the idea is there's a Big Bang. Lots of good evidence that there was a Big Bang. Lots and lots and lots of good evidence. The question is there enough mass to slow this expansion down and then bring it back together again so it collapses? And once it collapses, what happens next? Does it just go bang again? Or is there not enough mass, in which case the universe just keeps expanding until it cools to zero? I forget which way it's looking. I kind of think that it's looking right now that it's not enough mass to bring it back together, but I don't remember if that's true or not. Let's say that it does, though. Let's say that the universe does stop expanding and then starts to contract. And then it eventually, over another 15, 20 billion years or whatever it takes, all these galaxies which have been expanding now start to contract. And they form a point infinitely dense, infinitely hot, and infinitely small. And at that point, poof, there's another Big Bang, and the whole thing goes off again, either with the same laws of physics or with completely different laws of physics. It's got a nice feel to it, feels right. Does that mean it's right? No. A lot of times things feel right and they're not right, but then again, that might be that 4 petabytes of processing functioning below the level of my CPU. That may be a pattern in the data that I'm not able to determine by looking at it serially. It may be a pattern that I may be able to access in parallel as a hunch. So I have a feeling it's true. Doesn't mean it's true. It just seems right. If that's the case, so the universe is like a reciprocating engine. It's bang, 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 bang. And if it's been going on forever, then there's a world where we are, in fact, exactly the same, except we all have goatees, including the women, because even though that's unlikely to the extreme, if you have infinity and eternity, everything will happen an infinite number of times. This is where the monkey brain stops. Monkey brain can't follow it. We don't understand infinity or eternity, can't process those things. We can estimate them, and we can use them in equations, and we can think we understand it, but we don't understand eternity, and we don't understand infinity. Because if we did, we'd understand that right this very second there's a Stratosphere Lounge going on someplace, either in space or time, and I'm wearing a goatee, and so are you. And then there's another universe where I'm not wearing the goatee, but I have a lovely unicorn horn and a beautiful purple mane coming out of the back. That's infinity and eternity. And it doesn't seem like it could possibly be true, but that's because I don't have the brain power to understand these things.